Bismillah, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala rasulillah. I'm gonna head back to the car. I think, yeah, I'm gonna go to the car and then park in town somewhere. And inshallah, my mission is to get to UMass and do a little walk through the campus there. Took several courses there. Actually, the summer before I attended Amherst, I did a summer, took one class just to get out of Springfield and kind of get a taste of on-campus life. I took a single class over at the University of Massachusetts. Actually, it was a buddy I had from way back in the Springfield days. We attended the same. We weren't in the same class, but we attended just to get away and do a summer, just get on campus for the summer. So that was a really cool experience, mashallah. And I remember that summer was really hot too. I used to play tennis quite a bit, and I remember we had some grueling matches out there in the sun. It was hot. Oh, it was really hot out there. So, mashallah, I forgot about crosswalks. People stopped. Not like Cairo. They were pretty good in Ethiopia. Typically, if you were crossing the street, they didn't pick up speed. They would usually stop for you, usually. MashaAllah. That's a music building. I say that because when I took my last semester off, I was willing to drop out. I mean, I had my first, I guess you say, existential crisis, my first semester. And then by the time it was close to graduation, I was lost. I mean, I wanted to know the truth, like who is God, what happens to us after we die, who is right, meaning in terms of all these different religions and philosophies, who is right and how would I know that? And so I came back, I had one semester left. So anyway, I came back and spent a lot of time up there, not talking about some of the stuff I used to do in the past, but we spent a lot of time up there listening to a lot of Coltrane. I was in a lot of John Coltrane back then. MashaAllah. Yeah, just trying to put it together. Alhamdulillah. Inshallah, this will be part of Barakah Quest. I'll talk. I don't want to go on and on about myself, but I just want to share with people, mashallah, just kind of background. It's beautiful. I mean, just to walk through the campus and see the natural beauty, that's why I'm doing it. And mashallah, this place really, I went through a lot of growth and changes here, by the grace of Allah Ta'ala. I met the guys, the brothers, and by the grace of Allah Ta'ala, I finally got it together for the most, on that level, let's say, in terms of being clear about the need to acquire traditional knowledge and what that entails, or at least some of what that entails, and taking that path. And that took it wasn't something, I was thinking about it this morning. I had a hotel room close by, that these changes took place over time. It wasn't something that happened overnight. It happened relatively quickly, I mean, in a period of a few years, but still, it didn't happen overnight. And I say that to say that for the person who is really yearning for self-transformation and self-betterment, not that I would encourage somebody to sin, but sometimes that change, meaning the bad habits or just getting clarity about what your that life has a purpose, and then what is your particular purpose. That this takes time. It's not something that typically happens overnight. And I'll inject this. That part of what Barakah Quest, what we're trying to do, I hadn't framed it this way before, but yeah, this is actually a good way to say it. That bi'idhnillah, by the will of Allah, by the will of God, part of our mission at Barakah Quest is to shorten the learning curve. So that if you have these questions, like for myself, I'm trying to figure out stuff. I'm sitting in Robert Frost Library, just taking books off the shelf, trying to piece things together. And I didn't have a standard. It's not like, okay, I have a standard, And then I'm looking at these different books, I'm looking at different things, and then I'm weighing it in accordance with this standard. I didn't have a standard. So I'm just accumulating data without a way to sift through the data. And that's not a healthy place to be, especially when you're talking about your well-being after death. So alhamdulillah, one of the objectives with Barakah Quest, no doubt, is to try to cut down on the learning curve. You have questions, you want to understand what is the proper belief about God, how do you know that? Well, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, we can answer those questions. About the afterlife, okay, is it the case? Well, it's not the case, but one may ask himself or herself, is it the case that I just die, lights out, nothing else? Or do we go into a different state of existence? And you do. We know this from what the prophets have taught, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his message has been preserved. So there is a life after this. It's not that you blow your last breath and there is nothing else to your existence. Quite the contrary. It's just, so to speak, just beginning. But what we do in this life, what we believe, what we do, what we say, can have momentous implications. So this is why always we talk about like having the proper belief, because it's so important to understand really the human purpose in terms of the ultimate purpose of the human being is to worship the Creator. And in order to worship the Creator, to worship and obey the Creator, in order to worship and obey the Creator, the first step, the first priority is to know who the Creator is, meaning to know what befits the Creator, what doesn't befit the Creator. Interesting stones there. But anyway, let's get back. To know what befits the Creator, to know what doesn't befit the Creator. This is the first step that the human being, because this is the greatest priority. I mean, just even if we think about it logically, the merit, the status of a body of knowledge would be intrinsically related to the subject matter, what is known. So the status of knowledge, or let's say that there is no knowledge, there is no one or thing who has a greater status than the Creator. Therefore, to know about the Creator is the greatest of all knowledge. It is the greatest of all knowledge. So the person who uses their mind to get to this conclusion, and it's a very reasonable conclusion, that the one who realizes that, then the next question is, who is God? And how do I know that truly this is God? And this goes back to the issue of knowing what befits God, that God exists, that God has no beginning, has no end, is absolutely categorically different from every created being. All of this phenomena that we see in nature and the world around us, or we see in the world within us, meaning our imagination, our feelings, all of those things, they are other than God. The Creator, Allah, absolutely is not similar to any of this, nor is the Creator resemble any of this, nor is the Creator in need of any of this. The Creator exists. The Creator is one with no beginning, with no end. The Creator is omniscient and omnipotent. The Creator knows everything and has power over everything, and that the Creator alone deserves to be worshipped. Not idols, not the sun, not the moon, not one's self, not one's ego, not one's flesh, not animals, not the phenomena in nature, not the forces of nature, etc., etc., etc. None of those things deserve to be worshipped. The Creator deserves to be worshipped. And that's very simple. And it's something that it's very easy to understand. You don't need a PhD to understand that there's a Creator, because this universe could not be self-created, and it couldn't be beginningless. And we'll talk more about the proofs. This is just, I'm trying to keep it somewhat short in this rambling, mashallah, that the Creator has no need for the creations, and that should be self-evident because the Creator existed before the creations. Since the Creator existed before the creations, the Creator is not in need of the creations. And I don't know if I said it earlier, but one of the brothers, when I was visiting him, and he told me, he said, Allah exists without a place. And that struck me, even though at the moment I didn't understand it properly. I knew that this was a very profound statement, that the Creator exists without being in a location. The Creator is not subject to time or place or distance or direction. And again, this goes back to that before any of this was, meaning before any of this world existed, and you look around here, mashallah, it's very beautiful, mashallah, very, it's verdant is the word. Before any of this existed, before the colors existed, before the light existed, before the shadows existed, before the darkness existed, before the directions existed, before the heavens existed, before the sky existed, before any of this existed, there was a Creator. And that includes existing before time and before space. So, from that, it is known that the Creator, Allah, exists without being in a place. Not a high place, not a low place, not in every place, but rather, in Arabic, the phrase is, Allahu mawjudun bila makan. That the Creator exists without being in a location, without a place. Yeah. The Creator knows about everything everywhere without being there. This is the belief of the Muslim. So, this is what it comes down to. Okay, how do I know that there's a God? We say that there are the creations. They can't make themselves. They can't bring themselves from non-existence into being. And also the universe can't be self-created or beginningless. Can't be self-created and can't be beginningless. It requires a Creator. And then when you look through the different beliefs, the different religions and philosophies, you look, well, who has the right belief? And you look and you see people who worship idols, people who worship mental phenomena, people who worship themselves, worship other human beings, etc., etc. And then you look at the Islamic message, worship the Creator, who is totally different from all the creations, and don't worship anything else. That's it. That's the difference. And again, what a person can't posit that there's something greater once he recognizes, once he accepts that there's a Creator, and as in Arabic we say Allahu Akbar, the Creator is greater. Once he recognizes that there's a Creator and the Creator is greater than everything, then it would lead to follow there can't be anything more important, greater in this life than the sincere worship and obedience to the one who gave him life or her life. And that's it. That's it. Now in terms of like your personal purpose, well that's not separate because it's all within that context. The context being that the purpose of your life is to worship and obey the Creator. But the Creator, Allah, has given us different talents. We are not the same. Human beings are not like cookie cutter creations. We are different. So we have different skills, we have different talents, we have different yearnings. Talk about a sincere person who wants to do better, who wants to better himself. We are different. We are not all the same. And that being so, that's another part of the journey. That the person needs to probably cut out a lot of superfluous stuff in his life or her life. To get rid of a lot of unnecessary things and get down to the nuts and bolts, get down to the nitty-gritty about what is it, how do I take these talents and these yearnings that God has given me, and how do I channel them in obedience to Allah? Some people may want to become religious students of knowledge. Some people may want to become academic people who will, inshallah, contribute for the betterment of the ummah, of the nation of the Muslims. Some people, they may want to go into business. Some people, they may want to go into different types of sports if they have those talents. People are different. People are different. So, but we have to use the talents that God has given us. We need to use them in obedience to Him, and no gender intended for the Creator. The Creator is not a male or a female. That we use it, but if we are wise, we will use our talents in obedience to Allah Ta'ala. But and in order to know how to obey Allah, that's a whole other lesson, if you wish, on acquiring the knowledge of the religion. But just the basic principle that the ultimate purpose of life is to worship the Creator, to obey the Creator. And we said that we know that the Creator exists, and that the ultimate purpose of life is to worship and obey the Creator, Allah Ta'ala. And when a person understands that, then from that point, bi'idhnillah, they can get the other aspects of their life in order, because they understand the greatest, the most important priority. Okay, well, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala rasulillah. Again, this is Barakah Quest, Barakah Quest, Quest, all one word, barakahquest.wordpress.com. Feel free to support us. We have a GoFundMe page, so feel free to support us. MashaAllah, we can use your help. And inshallah ta'ala, you will see the benefit of the good that you do in this life, and the good that good will carry over for your for your well-being in the afterlife. But it does require that the person have the proper belief in the Creator and in the prophets, and that he or she leaves this world as a Muslim. May Allah Ta'ala guide us. May Allah Ta'ala make us people of knowledge and sincerity and humility. Walhamdulillah wa sallallahu ala rasulillah.